Welcome back. In response to the second wave of COVID-19, which has seen surges in cases in many parts of the world, Barbados has revised its protocols where it relates to the CARICOM travel bubble. Prime Minister Mia Mottley has made it clear that pre-testing is a requirement for all countries, whether low risk or high risk. Last week saw St. Lucia move from low risk to medium risk in Barbados' ranking. Here's what the Prime Minister had to say on the matter.
Because of the fact that we have seen community spread in some of our neighboring territories, we are going to require from now on, and the Ministry of Health will announce the date from which it will start, that all persons coming into Barbados, regardless of whether it is from the high-risk countries of the US and the UK and Canada now, or whether it is medium or low risk, as long as this second wave is about and knocking down people in the world, in the Western Hemisphere with whom we have airline contact, we will require all persons to have a PCR test before entering Barbados or to get one at the airport upon entry.
Now, the public relations manager of the St. Lucia Tourism Authority, Jermaine Georges, maintains that the decision by any other jurisdiction is necessary to safeguard its population.
St. Lucia was the first country to enforce stricter measures outside of what the CARICOM bubble countries were requiring, in that incoming travelers are required to pre-test within 7 days of arrival and be exempted from quarantine if a negative test is produced. We also note the number of cases in sister countries and will ensure that pre-testing remains an entry requirement, along with the pre-filling of the travel registration form on www.stlucia.org/COVID-19. Grenada has opted out of the bubble. St. Lucia's approved bubble has reduced significantly over the last few months because of community spread noted in other islands, and so it continues to be a fluid situation and a health crisis.
Georges says that these actions should serve as a reminder to the local population and bubble travelers to keep their guards up. Heavy rains over the past weekend proved disastrous for some residents across the island. While the community of Bexar was spared from major damage, one resident says that if authorities do not act swiftly, her home may be gone. Nisha Charles reports.
The community of Bexar has been notorious for experiencing flooding during periods of heavy rainfall. Over the years, there have been attempts at mitigating the effects of natural hazards in the area. But one resident of Mark Bexar is disappointed that mitigation works have not landed near her dwelling. She is certain that if the authorities do not act quickly, she may be homeless.
Spend la hantivle pour maçon so il m'a dit help guy help yani un mois passé guy pas venu check nous pas venu nous encore et puis yo soit la pluie a tombé plus fort et puis gloire commence à descendre plus balaka descendre bon 2 heures du matin gloire commence à fouiller en bas là et pour la commence à descendre.
Ella Ferdinand says it's not just her mother's house in danger. The neighbors have been flooded out numerous times.
In the past couple of years when we've had heavy rains that has caused flooding, this house to my back has experienced lots of flooding to the downstairs part. It has been flooded probably 3-4 times already. So they need better drainage here. They need assistance probably from the government to get better drainage to deal with the problem. And now that house is in danger of falling because of the slippage, I mean, they need somebody to come and do something ASAP.
Residents are fearful that if additional rains come this week, the road will collapse. For the Hot 7 News, Nisha Charles reporting.
Barbadian political scientist and pollster Peter Wickham is predicting a significant Biden-Harris victory in the U.S. election. However, he thinks the benefits or drawbacks of a victory on either side for the Caribbean region are greatly overstated.
Can Democratic candidate Joe Biden clinch a win against U.S. President Donald Trump, or will Trump secure a second term in office? Nearly 99 million people have already cast their ballot in early voting, suggesting this U.S. election will have the highest voter turnout in history. One person who says he is very sure that Biden and Harris can and will win decisively is political scientist and pollster Peter Wickham. U.S. polls do show that Biden is the candidate favored to win the 2020 presidential election. He is ahead in the polls, leading in the blue states known to vote traditionally for a Democratic candidate, and is leading in some key battleground states. All the analysis so far points to Biden's path to 270 electoral votes being easier than that of Donald Trump.
I'm pretty confident of a Biden-Harris victory. I think that the extent of that victory will be significant. I believe it will be of landslide proportions. I'm looking at the numbers of people who are voting early and the numbers of people who are turning out. And in our business, a huge voter turnout could only mean one thing. So my expectation is that when all is said and done, that it will be a significant victory for Biden and Harris. I think that they need control not only of the White House, but certainly the Senate, in order to make any significant impact. And my feeling is that that's what will be happening tonight.
The Donald Trump presidency has not been particularly popular with the people of the Caribbean region, with many pointing to bigotry and xenophobia being on the increase, given what they feel is encouragement by President Donald Trump. But when it comes to real-world benefits or drawbacks, Wickham says a win by either Biden or Trump is not significant for the region.
Back in the day, we had the Caribbean Basin Initiative and the Enterprise of the Americas Initiative, and we could look to those and see direct support or lack of support. The reality, however, is that those days have changed. Certainly since the Clinton era, the Caribbean has had difficulty identifying specific benefits with one president versus the other. Then when we look at the Obama era, certainly there was really nothing in it for people from the Caribbean, frankly, because the Caribbean never had to make demands on the system. That has not changed under the Trump era. So I would say that for Caribbean people, the outcome is really neither here nor there in terms of their direct impact. The reality, however, is that Caribbean people, like people everywhere else in the world, are looking at the extent to which the Trump presidency has moved America in a direction that I think frightens many of us, that many of us don't recognize. And certainly it is inconsistent with the types of values that we would want to express. And I think to that extent, the Caribbean people will look forward to a Biden-Harris victory.
In St. Lucia, there have been concerns by the tourism minister about how a change in administration might affect the COVID-19 response, and by virtue of that fact, travel and tourism to St. Lucia. The U.S. is one of the island's major tourism source markets.
Stay with us. Wasco's systems up and running and the future of football, all after the break.